Hey everybody, JR Fisher here. Welcome. Good to see you on this bright Monday morning. What's today's date? We got the 11th. It's July 11th, 2022. Guys, got a great day ahead of you. I've got a great training session today. I think you're really going to like it. Let me turn my volume down here on my iPad. I had it off to the side. And the reason I think you're going to like it is it applies to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a musician. It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you follow these 7 steps that I'm going to go through today. I think you're going to love them. They work for me. They've worked for other people. These aren't things that I just came up with. These are things that people employ on a daily basis. And I'll even prove it to you. I'll talk to you about some companies that are doing these things. I'll talk to you about individuals that are doing these things. These things work. Okay. So if you've had a problem with being successful, all you got to do is follow these 7 things and you won't be a failure at all anymore. Okay. You're going to do really, really well. Now, it doesn't mean you won't be met with some failures, but you won't be a failure yourself because you're going to know how to handle it. So don't forget, before we get started, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that big subscribe button down there. It's normally red and it says subscribe. You got to click it and turn it gray. And then you got to ring the bell, turn on all bell notifications so you're notified each and every time you go live, or if I upload a video. That was too fast, wasn't it? So you got to turn on all bell notifications so that every time I go live or if I upload a video, you will be notified. If you don't have these notifications on, you won't know. Even if you're subscribed, you won't know. So it's really important that you do that. And I want to encourage you to use the chat box here to the side. Now I've got a little, if you can see it here, see iPad. So that's me right there. And that's me right there. See there. So I'm going to be monitoring your comments. And you can comment throughout this training session. I have no problem with that. Put in there what you're thinking. Put in there any questions you have. If you just want to say hello and tell me what the weather is. Oh my God, our weather today, it's cooler than yesterday. Yesterday was 107. Yes, 107. Today it's going to be only 106. So it's cooled off. It's cooled off, right? It's been hot here today, guys. I mean, it's been so hot for the past month that my grass out here is all turning brown. You know, trees are dying. I mean, it's really bad. And then we have a drought going on too. So hopefully we'll get some rain soon, but man, it's tough right now. Very, very dry. But we're thankful. We're thankful for everything we got. So let's get right into this today, guys. I've organized this into these steps, and I think you're going to find it pretty interesting. I think you're going to get a lot out of this. Take some notes. Write some of this stuff down, but you can also come back and watch this video again. Those of you who aren't watching this live, feel free to put comments below on the video and I will come back and answer those. Okay, number 1, and this is a little bit hard to explain, but number 1 is have courage in your work. Okay, now this doesn't matter if you're a musician. It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter if you're a sports person, but you got to have courage in your work. And what is courage? Courage is travel. Okay. Courage is, and when I say travel, I don't just mean physical travel. I mean, mentally, you need to travel to different places. You need to look for different ways of doing things. Okay. You need to actually look for problems. I think a lot of people don't look for problems. They try to avoid them. If you're in a business, you need to look for problems and then find the solutions. Don't assume because the way things are being done is being done right. And you got to add knowledge every day. So you got to have a lot of courage in your work. It's not just showing up and doing your job. Here in where we live in Georgetown, actually in Cedar Park, which is not far from us, there is a Carl's Jr., which is a burger place here in the US. And there's a Chick-fil-A. The Carl's Jr., their entrance is not far from the Chick-fil-A, and their entrance gets blocked a lot because the line is so long for the Chick-fil-A place that people can't get in the parking lot of Carl's Jr. Not that there's that many people scrambling to get in there. As a matter of fact, at lunchtime, you may see 3 or 4 cars. At Chick-fil-A, you may see 50 or 100 cars. Now, what is the difference? The difference is this, and I'm going to bring them up a little later on too. They looked for problems and they found solutions. Okay. Number 1, they got good food. Okay. They're consistently serving good food and they have decent prices. Okay. So good food, decent prices, but it doesn't stop there. You could have good food and decent prices. If you have a bad process, okay, it's not going to do you any good. Now, Chick-fil-A decided that the best way to get the food to the customer faster is to have people outside in the drive-through. They have 2 lines going through the drive-through, and they have several workers out there in line with a little iPad, and they're taking your orders in line. So they get that order as quickly as they possibly can. And that way the restaurant can start making it before you get up there and they can have your food ready. But they don't just think about the customers, they think about the employees. It's hot outside and you know, having the sun beat down on you is pretty bad. So what they've done is they've installed these, gosh, what do you call it? It's like a cover all the way around the drive-through so that the employees can get out of the sun. In addition to that, they put big fans all the way down there so that the employees can cool off. In addition to that, they have a big water station there for the employees. So they're looking for problems and they've come up with solutions. You've got to have courage in your work. You've got to do more than everybody else. That's right. You got to do more than everybody else. Number 2, you be you. You be you. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, especially on YouTube, I see this time and time again. Dusty, what's going on? Let me put Dusty's comment up there. He's in here joining us here, so I'll stick his comment up there. But I see it time and time again, especially on YouTube, where people will try to copy another YouTube character. Now, I watch a lot of the food bloggers, the ones that travel around and eat at all these different restaurants. And one thing I've noticed is that a lot of them copy this guy named Mark Wiens. I was watching a guy last night, and it was Luke Barton. And Luke Barton, I got something in my mouth here. Luke Barton was doing the same mannerisms that Mark Wiens was. He was saying some of the same words. But Mark Wiens is kind of funny because he'll take a bite of food and he'll go, oh, wow, it's so good. And Luke Barton's doing the exact same thing. When Mark Wiens describes a restaurant, he bobs his head up and down like this when he talks. Luke Barton was doing the same thing. Now, I'm not saying Luke Barton's bad or anything, but oh my God, he's really ripped off somebody else. He's not developing his own personality. You've got to develop your own personality. Paul says Chick-fil-A does a good job of taking care of their health. Absolutely they do. Absolutely they do. And understand that a good employee, you know, that's happy is going to treat your customers better. And I'm going to get into the, in just a second, because I have some more words I want to say on that. But you've got to understand there's certain things you got to do. You're going to have to put forth more effort if you want to be successful, okay? Don't copy somebody else. You know, a lot of people will say, well, I don't want to make a YouTube video, JR, because I'm too heavy or I'm too skinny or, you know, I'm losing my hair or my voice crackles or whatever it is. That's awesome. If you can be different from everybody else, that's exactly what you want to do. You need to embrace who you are, okay? You don't want to copy somebody else. You know, you can copy somebody else's work ethic. If they got a good work ethic, you can do that. But you want to fight extremely hard until you get to who you are. And a lot of us have never gotten there because they're not trying. You know, I'm not saying I haven't, but I'm saying a lot of people don't try enough to where they even discover who they are and what kind of person they are. You got to get out there. You got to be yourself. You got to be enthusiastic. And you say, well, JR, I'm not an enthusiastic person. That's something you have to adopt. You've got to be enthusiastic. But you don't have to copy anybody. Just be you. So that's my number 2, you be you. Number 3, I think is really, really important. Number 3 is strive for excellence. Okay, strive for excellence. I don't care what you're doing. Okay, I don't care what it is. I want you to be better at it. Okay, Chick-fil-A is probably one of the top rated, you know, fast food places around, and they're that way for a reason. It's because they try to be better than everybody else. I went into Zaxby's the other day, and I don't eat at Zaxby's, but there's one here in town, and since we moved here about a year ago, I'm trying to try all the new places. And I ordered some chicken strips, whatever they were, and I saw that it came with ranch sauce, and I said to the gentleman, I said, well, I don't want ranch. Can I get your Zaxby's sauce? He says, sure, no problem. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and after about 12 or 13 minutes, and this is a long time in fast food, there's a lady come out. She goes, we're cooking your food. It's going to be another 4 minutes. I'm like, whatever. Okay, fine. So she finally hands me the food, and it's in a bag, and I asked to have it to dine in. But she's giving me a bag, and I have no tray or anything. And I said to her, I said, is the Zaxby sauce in there? She goes, no, ranch is in there. I said, well, I wanted the Zaxby sauce. She goes, well, that'll be 39 cents more. She never asked me if that was the sauce that I ordered, which I did, so she shouldn't charge me. And I was like, you know what? Just don't worry about it. And she goes, sir, I don't make the rules. And I'm like, wow, you're rude on top of everything else. Now, I didn't get what I wanted. She was rude to me. It took a long time to get the food. What are the odds that I'm going to go back to that restaurant? What do you think the odds are? I can go to Chick-fil-A and they're polite to me. The food's good. And guess what? They don't charge 39 cents for a sauce. Come on. That's absurd. Okay. And they were virtually empty. I think they had 4 diners there right at lunchtime. I know I could go down to Chick-fil-A and the entire dining room's full. Both drive-thrus are full because they strive for excellence. The more educated a person is and the better morals they have, and the more people you help, the more successful you're going to be. Okay. It's just important for you to be better than everybody else. And I don't mean that it's a competition thing where, you say, well, I'm better than them. What I mean is I want you to provide better service. I want you to be a better person. I want you to be more educated about your product. I want you to do all these things because it's going to help your business. It's going to help you as an individual be more successful. Let me grab a little shot of tea here. I drink tea in the morning. Coffee just tears up my stomach anymore. It has for about the past 15 years, so I haven't been able to do it. Let me get back here. I think I see a couple comments coming on. There we go. Paul's got something. Paul, welcome back, buddy. I haven't seen you in a while. Solving a problem and having a great solution to offer is far better than selling prevention. Yeah, that's for sure. And I tell you what, Zaxby's did not do it for me. He says, also, he's saying having the right mindset and self-confidence, and I'm going to talk about self-confidence in a second because some of us are lacking there, are definitely key to success. You need to deliver quality if you want the respect of customers. Absolutely, my man. You certainly do. You got to have quality. You got to have all these things. A lot of people try to, shortcut stuff, and you don't want to shortcut stuff. That's not the point. The point is to do better. Okay. All right. So let me get this other tab going here and let me get my notes up. All right. So that was number 3, strive for excellence. The next one is number 4, leaders must be explorers. Okay. If you're going to be a good leader, you've got to be a good explorer. You're going to need to travel to where others have not traveled. You're going to need to explore ideas and ways of doing things that nobody else has. Think of Elon Musk. Okay. Think of Elon Musk. He's a brilliant guy. And I heard an interview with him the other day, and they were talking about the fact that he started this rocket company. Okay. SpaceX. And the interviewer said to him, well, how could you start a rocket company and do all these things when you don't know anything about rockets? You're not a rocket scientist, Elon. You're not a rocket scientist. He says, there are books. There are books. And what he was saying is I can learn anything I want to learn. Then once he started the rocket company, he wanted to hire a chief rocket engineer, whatever the heck that is. I guess they make all the decisions. And he went out into the industry and he offers this job. Now, the people he wanted to hire didn't want to come to work for him because he had no track record whatsoever. They didn't want to jeopardize their career and come to work for him. And then he said, and the people that did want to come to work for me weren't very good. He says, so I didn't want to hire them. So they said, well, what'd you do? How'd you start the rocket company? He says, I became the chief rocket engineer. I just studied and became that person so that I could start my company. Now, how many people do that stuff? How many people are that much of an explorer? How many people are going to say, hey, I need to do these things to succeed? I remember when I was in the automotive industry, and one thing I was leading up is internet stuff at one point. And they had some advertising people who thought they understood the internet. It was a lady and her assistant, and she basically ran the ads in the newspaper. That's what she had done for 30 years, is ran ads in newspapers, which has nothing to do with the internet. And I couldn't get that through to her. And I started doing some things to make things work on the internet, and they started working. And as soon as they started working, you would think, well, they'd say, oh, wow, this is great. We're getting more business. We're doing better. She squashes it and says, oh, no, he's messing things up. You can't let him get involved in the internet. Now, obviously, I left and I started my own internet companies, and we're doing very, very well. But it's kind of funny when you work for some companies and you try to improve things. If somebody above you looks like you're being, infringed on, I guess, they're going to try to stop you. That's why I like working for myself, because I can get up every day and do what I want. But you've got to be an explorer, guys. You've got to explore ideas and ways of doing things that nobody else has done before you. That's what really being a good leader is. Now, what is that, number 4? I think we're up to number 4. And I got a comment there. Let me grab Paul's comment real quick. See where we're at. All right. Paul is alive and well today. You're doing good, Paul. Practice candy. Let's see. Constant and never ending daily improvement. Read daily. Yes, definitely read daily. I do that every single day. But take action and revise later. Yes, good comments, Paul. We appreciate you as always in there. And let me get on to my next one, which is number 5. If you're keeping track, number 5, are we doing okay on time? We're doing great on time. Absolutely. I get time to sip my tea. Yes. Yes. Okay. So number 5 is this. Number 5 is pretty interesting, I think. Number 5 is knowledge is one of the most important things you can ever possess. Knowledge. Okay. Knowledge is the first step. Okay. You got to go out and get knowledge. Now, it doesn't mean you got to go out and get all the knowledge. You know, I've seen people say, well, I want to start an e-commerce business and I want to go out and get all the knowledge and get everything that there is out there and then start my business. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is you need to continually get knowledge. Knowledge, here's the thing about knowledge, it creates creativity. Knowledge creates creativity. If you start doing something and you start learning about it, you're going to absolutely come up with more ideas on how to do it. If you just sit back and wait to be creative, you will never be creative. Knowledge creates creativity. It also, here's the other thing that knowledge does, it enhances confidence. It enhances confidence. If you were to go to speak in front of a group of 1,000 people about any subject matter, and you say, well, I'm going to speak tomorrow morning to 1,000 people, and you don't prepare anything, and you don't really have a lot of knowledge about the subject matter, how confident do you think you're going to be? How confident do you think you're going to be? Not long ago, I was speaking at a conference down in Florida, right before the world illness. And I was going to give a speech about starting a business online. I worked on that speech for about 3 months. I brought in some of my own knowledge. I set up some PowerPoint slides and I practiced it over and over and over again. So that when I got on the stage, you know, I didn't have any fear, because fear comes out of the lack of knowledge. That's where fear comes from. That's why you're so afraid if you have to get in front of 1,000 people and talk and you don't have any knowledge. I mean, that's pretty scary, right? But if you've got the knowledge and you've practiced it and you're smart about that subject, you're going to be a lot more confident. So knowledge is going to create creativity, but it also enhances your confidence. Knowledge is equal to creativity plus righteousness plus courage. All those things go together. Learning gives creativity, and creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge, and knowledge makes you great. Okay, let me say all that one more time here. I want you to understand what I'm saying here. Knowledge is equal to creativity plus righteousness plus courage. Learning gives creativity, and creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge, and knowledge makes you great. Just that one thing. And I've got a bonus at the end that I really want to stick in here too. Number 6, we're on to number 6, and we're doing great on time there. And guys, don't forget, put your comments in there. We've got a few in there, put a little bit more in there. And also, you know, if you're watching this and it's not live, feel free to put it in the comment section below. Right now, you guys can use the chat. Of course, you're hearing me say this, and you may be watching this not live, but anyhow, you want to make sure you do that. Let's see here, before I get on number 6 here, Paul's got something he wants to say. And what does Paul have to say here? Paul says, avoiding procrastination is another key, because procrastination is both the thief of time, but also kills momentum. Momentum helps push the needle. Yes, it does. You know, and I kind of practiced this yesterday, Paul, because it was a Sunday. It was starting off as a lazy Sunday. A lazy Sunday. We really didn't have anything to do. We didn't really have any place to go. But we both decided we were going to do something. So I set up my live for today, and there's a little bit of work to that, believe it or not. And I set up a couple of emails that I sent out. And I've got some new furniture in my office here, and I don't know if I could show this to you or not. Let me see if I can. I bought this big credenza, and I'm going to turn it so you guys can see it. Do you see that over there? That big credenza. I mean, I can't even get it in the screen. It's so big. I think it's about 8 feet long, but you guys can see. There you go. You can probably see it now. So I got that credenza, and we had a lot of my office stuff in one of our bedrooms. And what I had done is I put these wire shelves in the closet. I had all the office stuff there. My wife wants to obviously use the room for a room. We have company coming. My daughter's going to be here with her husband soon. She has 2 twin 2-year-old boys and a 5-year-old boy. And we need to get the bedroom set up. And the closet was full of this office stuff. So at that point, I decided, well, I'm going to start moving all my office stuff into here. And I got that done. But then I looked and the shelves were still there. So I took down the shelves, which was good. I got something done. I got something accomplished. And then we had a spot in the garage that they had repaired because they had to do a wall repair. And she needed to bring her cats in. Our garage is a cat room, basically. She needed to bring them into that one bedroom that I had just worked on. So she did that. So I went out there and sanded down that area, got that all sanded down. And today I'll paint it and get that part done. And we don't want somebody else to come in and do it because she's got her pets out there and all. So I got that done, which is a cool thing. Okay. So what turned out to be a lazy day didn't turn out to be a lazy day at all. I got a bunch of things accomplished. I got things done. I also did a discussion with a guy who wants to do some SEO on some of our videos. So I had a couple conversations with him. So, what are you doing? What are you doing? That procrastination thing can kill you guys. I mean, that procrastination thing is a terrible animal. So that's what you need to do. Now, number six, use vision and think differently. And I guess that's called thinking out of the box, but you want to use some vision and think differently. What will you be? And how will this help other people? You got to keep this in your mind at all times. How am I going to help somebody else? What am I going to do for somebody else? I think too much we think about, well, what am I going to get out of this? And what's this going to do for me? If you get out of your head and start thinking, what can I do for everybody else? Now, Elon Musk had a lot of money. And I keep referencing him, but I think he's an amazing human being. He had a lot of money and he could have just sat back and lived. But instead, he says, I want to start an electric car company because I think this could help a lot of people. I think this could help the environment. I think this could be a big thing. And he started a rocket company because what he wanted to do. And he started a boring company because he knew that people were having a hard time getting around town in traffic. And he wants to use these boring tunnels to get people around. Now, it wasn't for him. I'm sure he's got a helicopter and jet. He doesn't have to worry about getting around town. Okay. But he is thinking of other people. And that's part of thinking out of the box is how can I affect other people? What can I do for other people? Some people don't want to think, right? They just want to make a little bit of money. And that's a real problem. By doing this, they miss out on the most important thing. And the most important thing is the journey. Okay, the most important thing is the journey. I've had an interesting journey in my companies. I never, ever wanted to start a survival food company, but it's one of our biggest money makers. I never thought about doing courses online, but we do real well with the courses. In addition to that, I do YouTube videos. I never considered doing videos before. You've got to use vision. You've got to think differently. Okay, you can't just keep thinking the same thing, doing the same thing. Let's see here. I got another comment. Let me throw Paul's comment up here. And guys, you got to get on there too. Paul's doing all the heavy lifting here. The rest of you got to put some comments in there. The one thing I see you and other successful people do is develop both great habits, but also systems and templates to ramp up fast. Yeah. And I tell you my habit, I'll tell you my biggest habit. My biggest habit is to question myself and say, what are you doing right now to move forward? What are you doing right now? Now, it's tough because a lot of times if I'm watching TV or, I'm doing something like that, I'm like, I'm not doing anything to move ahead. But I ask myself that question throughout the day. Throughout the day, I'm like, what are you doing to move ahead right now? If I'm at the gym exercising, I'm like, well, you're moving ahead. You're getting in shape. You're doing what you got to do. But I ask myself that question a lot. A lot of people don't want to ask themselves that question. All they want to do is go, I just want to make a little bit of money. You're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on the journey. You're going to miss out on all these wonderful things if you're not thinking about moving ahead. And if you don't question yourself on a regular basis, you got to question. And when I say regular, I question myself all day long. Okay. Number 7, this is a huge one. This is a huge one. This is one that I think I've learned to not master, because I don't think I've mastered anything, but to get pretty good at. Number 7 is learn to manage failure. Learn to manage failure. Failure will and has always existed, and it always will. You're gonna have failures. I've had so many failures. I mean, I couldn't even attempt to tell you guys in hours how many failures I've had. However, failures are learning experience. You know, Elon Musk, when he was starting his rocket company, had a bunch of crashes. And somebody says, you just had another rocket crash. That's terrible. He says, no, it isn't, because we figured out what doesn't work. That's the best thing you can do. I mean, you can go get a book and it can tell you all these things that work and you should try them, but nothing sticks with you more than doing something and having it fail and knowing that that thing doesn't work. Okay, that thing doesn't work. You know, maybe it's the angle you climb up on a ladder and you fell down. You'll never climb up that angle again. You'll never do it again. Or maybe it's you cooked something in the kitchen and it totally got burned up because of something you did. You'll never do that thing again. Failure through experience is invaluable. Failure through experience is invaluable. People can tell you about failures, but you haven't internally experienced them. And if you don't internally experience them, it's not going to stick with you. It's not as much of a learning experience. These are learning experiences, and there's no real learning without failures, right? There's no appreciation of accomplishment without failures. You've got to learn to manage failures. You know, I could list a bunch of reasons I should have quit online, mainly because I wasn't making any money in the beginning and I kept losing money. But throughout my, career, if you want to call it that, going on 13 years now online, I've had a lot of things go wrong, guys. I've had a lot of reasons I could have quit. And sometimes I think about the reasons and I think of other people and I know other people and I'm like, they would have quit here. They would have quit here. They would have quit here. So they would have never gotten there. But every time I have one, I try to step back and go, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this particular failure? And that's something you got to do. And that is also number 7. That is also number 7, guys. And I have 7. However, I'm going to give you a bonus. Okay, so stick with me for a second. I want to give you a bonus. And the bonus is work ethic. Work ethic. This is the one thing that you cannot skip out on. This is the one thing that if you don't have it, you have to develop it. And how do you develop it? You just force yourself. When you don't want to do something, when you don't feel like doing something, that's exactly what you should probably do. Okay, if you don't feel like working on that book or working on your products or going to the gym or whatever the heck it is, that's probably something you should do. If there's a mess in your house and you're looking at it going, man, I need to clean that up at some point, do it right now. Just do it. Get it done. You will feel so much better. You'll get so much gratification from doing these things that you don't want to do, because what it really trains your brain to do is it says, I'm in charge. My lazy brain is not in charge. I'm in charge. So when you start doing things you don't want to do, whether it's, 100 sit-ups or 230 push-ups, which is my regimen, by the way, if you push yourself to do that, you're like, man, I'm in control. I can make myself do things that are very uncomfortable, that are very difficult, but I know are beneficial. And that will spill over into your work life. That will spill over into your home life. All of these actions that you do spill over. If you see somebody that's got a really messy front yard and there's weeds growing everywhere and all that, I bet their car's dirty. I bet inside their house, it's disorganized. And I bet they're not a great worker either, because all of these disciplines spill over. Some people may say, well, I don't care what my yard looks like. It doesn't matter to me. But what it does to your brain is it says, I don't care about that because it doesn't matter. And you start looking at all these other things and you go, well, that doesn't matter, and that doesn't matter, and that doesn't matter. And the truth is, it all matters. It all is training your brain to do the things that you probably should do. Okay. So it all matters. And no matter how minuscule it is. Okay. Any interaction, there's a guy that does the grounds here, a really nice guy in our complex. And I always speak to him. I make it a point to speak to him. He's an interesting person. He's a nice person. And the other day, and I know he's alone. I know he was raised by his grandparents. I don't think he has any family whatsoever. And the other day I found out he was on vacation. And then I saw him after he came back from vacation. And I said, hey, how was your vacation? He says, oh my God, it was great. He says, I went and saw this meteor crater in Arizona. And it was the coolest thing. I said, really? That does sound cool. He says, let me show you some pictures. Now, as soon as he said, let me show you some pictures, I thought, wow, who else is he going to show these pictures to? Who else is he going to show them to? If I can make a difference in that person, right, and make them feel good about themselves, I mean, how do you put value on that? You just don't. And if you constantly do this, guys, you try to help other people, you try to give value to other people, that's going to spill over into my business too. It's like, well, how can I help this person in my business? How can I help this person on YouTube? I have a lot of people write questions to me. Some of them are very vague. I get this question a lot. I don't have any experience and I'm real young. How do I make money online? That's a tough one for me to answer because online, nobody knows how old you are. And there's like a billion different ways to make money. So I always, answer them back, what are you interested in? What would you like to do? And then they usually answer me back, what's the easiest thing to do with no skills? And I always scratch my head. I'm like, why would you want to pick the one thing that requires no skills when that's going to pay you the least? You should be asking me, what is the thing that pays the most online? And I'm going to get the knowledge to do that. That's the way to go about it. That's what a successful person will do. They'll say, what's the most difficult thing? And I'm going to get that knowledge. And that way I can sell it for a whole lot more. That's the way to go about it. Not always look for the easy way out. And that's where our brains are trained to look for easy, no pain type things to do. Don't do that. Okay, guys, I think I've covered everything we need to cover today. Like I said, if you're not watching this live, please put some comments below. Let me meet you and hopefully, have a conversation going. I do have a guy that's supposed to be working on our channel now. Really good kid. He's over in India and his specialty is optimizing channels. So maybe we can build it up a little bit more. We're doing okay, but a little bit more viewers would be nice and subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and tell your friends to. If you think this knowledge is valuable, if you think it's something that somebody else can get value out of it, it's going to make you look cool too, right? They're going to go, wow, you gave me something cool. So make sure you subscribe, get them to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell. Turn on all bell notifications so you're notified each and every time I go live or if I upload a new video. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I will be here again on Wednesday and Friday, so I will see you then. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.